Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of Success at Any Age. And today I have another Australian guest, which is Danni Lepage. And she was actually my very first international guest that reached out, so I'm very excited for us to finally catch up. We've had obviously a couple of reschedules due to emergency family issues and also me not knowing how the international time zones works and getting my days mixed up, but I'm very excited to have her on. I'm just going to see if she's around and we can get this started. Is she here? I think she's online. I can see. Join the live. Oh. Yes, I did do it right.
Yeah. Oh,
Hello.
the ultimate test.
I
Hi, Sherry. So good to see you
and you. I can't
live.
believe that I can be live finally. How are
I
you?
know. I'm good. You have the most beautiful accent. I've been enjoying all these international interviews and lives, and I could listen to you all day.
Thank you. Honestly, I love your Australian accent as well. So this feels like this is gonna be great for both of us. Although
That's a relief. I'm
I,
so sick of mine, but
mine might be changing. I'm actually moving to another part of the UK that has a very thick accent, and everyone's like, "You're going to get the accent." I'm like, "No, please don't let me."
oh, that'll be interesting. Whereabouts are you moving to?
I'm moving to Scotland, so and the Scot very thick accent. But, oh gosh, am I going to get the accent? I'm 27. Hopefully, English is just like stuck with me, and I will just be an English person in Scotland. But
Yeah.
I'm
You might have a bit of a unique twang. I have so many friends through, there's a very wide dance community where I am, and I've done it for so long that I have so many friends that I can't even pick where they're from because they've lived internationally and then they've moved over here. And there's just you can't pick it, but I think it's like genetics. Sometimes you get this beautiful exotic blend and it just sounds so uniquely beautiful. I'm like, where are you from? Like,
like
this is amazing. So,
this one accent of everything put together. I'm like, that sounds great because
yeah.
no one then you can just say anywhere.
Yeah, no, or even one of the girls that I've been chatting to quite a lot is Megan competed in the UK Miss Galaxy UK finals the other week, and she's from Scotland, and we've connected quite strongly on Instagram, which is the beauty of the pageant world, which is incredible. And I did not pick, I felt like I was terrible. I didn't even pick her from Scotland. I was like, oh, that's a nice, yes. There's so many different UK
Yeah,
accents that it could have been something a bit more northern. I wasn't sure. But I went, oh, if I was to have a Scottish accent like that, she's got a great accent. I haven't actually told her that. I need to tell her that. So if Megan's watching, but yeah, I'll have to tell her that after. She's got a beautiful, elegant Scottish accent. I love
she
it.
must be from like the southern part of Scotland because as you get more and more northern, it just gets thicker and thicker to the point you
Yeah.
can't understand. There was a
Yeah.
joke when I was married because we got married in Scotland. Obviously, our celebrant
Um,
Scottish, and the running joke of, "Are you actually going to be able to understand him when he asks you to repeat your vowels?" And I'm like, "Oh no!" And I'm gonna have
oh, that's so funny.
someone will be for you. Oh no, I'm going to mess my vowels up because I can't understand the person who's marrying me.
Oh, that is so funny.
Amazing.
That's crazy.
Well, I would love to hear more about your journey as a pageant girl and also how you became Mrs. Galaxy. Oh, sorry, Mrs. Australian Galaxy finalist.
Yeah, it's definitely a unexpected journey, but I was just saying to someone the other day, sometimes it's those unexpected journeys and what you don't plan for. I mean, they say that life is what happens when you're busy making other plans. And I think that is probably the best way to explain my pageant journey because I've spent, by qualification, I'm a photographer and I specialize in portraiture and branding, which doesn't just mean people with businesses. It means people who have a story, something they want to share, something they want to stand up for. So back in 2019, I actually had a client come to me, and she was my first pageant client, and she said, I need headshots. And from a technical perspective, as a photographer, I can say, yes, we can shoot a nice clean background, we can do this lighting, we can do all of these things. But apart from that, I had no idea what pageantry really was. I knew about Miss Universe. I know there's a few different systems, but like most people, and I spent a lot of my time explaining to a lot of my friends and family what it is. But I think it's more a community and it's more a sisterhood than a thing, which is sometimes hard to explain. But it's just it's a place in the world. You find this corner, and it's not even a corner. It's that big. It's not limited to any systems. It's literally the reason I've been able to connect internationally with people, and yourself included, which I never thought I would do. I was born and raised in Perth, Western Australia. This was my little home, and I didn't need to leave. I didn't need to travel internationally. I didn't need to do anything. I was quite happy in my little corner, and yeah, just worked on my career, had my photography, had all of that. And I was kind of, probably, if I'm honest with myself, a bit scared of success and scared of expanding and scared of losing who I'd really built up to be for so long. And it was a bit of a protective mechanism. And a lot of what our bodies do is they try to keep us safe. And a lot of our behavior can be justified, whether it's seen as positive or negative, is a way that our body has rewarded us for protecting ourselves one time or another. It doesn't mean it's going to serve us again later, which is why it's important to audit your habits and keep on top of that. But I'm a massive advocate for um, personal development and mental health and mindset through my platform, Her Creative Mindset, as well. Um, but yeah, for my career for photography, which has connected me to so many incredible people, connected me to pageantry in 2019. And for International Pageant Day, I actually put up a post, and in the last 6 years, I've actually worked with 11 amazing women in pageantry just in my state alone, because I haven't been able to travel interstate yet. But yeah, over the last 6 years, I've worked closely with some incredible pageant women, and I've grown to watch their journeys, not just from their reign or from the systems that they're committing to, but beyond that, to their journey beyond a title or beyond a single mission that they have or goals. And I've been I've been on the outskirts of that community. I've been watching from the outside. I've been able to support people. I've been able to sponsor girls in pageantry as well as a photographer. So I've been quite proudly standing on the sidelines for a long time. And I'm also very busy. Once you've got work, the things that you do in your spare time, the things that you do to take care of yourself, that kind of fills up a 7-day week. And I thought I'm done. This is it. Because I don't know if you've experienced this, but once you meet a few girls in pageantry, they go, oh my God, you need to do it. You need it. It's going to be the best thing you've ever done. You need to join. And I'm like, it's not a cult. Like, I'm not coming on board. Like, I'm like, I'm okay. I'm fine. I'm on the outskirts. But for so long, it was just beautiful being able to support women, being able to capture their authentic selves, being able to capture their journey. And I've done some fundraising through my photography as well, which really connected myself with girls that were doing pageantry, because that was strongly linked to volunteering and community work. So, yeah, no, it's been incredible being on the outside. But in 2023, when I was still planning my wedding, I could see myself coming to the end of a chapter. I could feel a change in my photography career and where I was going. I was shifting more towards branding, focusing more on business. I was about to be married. I was about to change my name, and I was about to turn 30. And I could just feel all these planets align and move and shift. And I can say that the friend of mine that was actually my very first pageant client, she is now my pageant coach. And it's been a full circle moment, because I remember talking to her, and she said to me, you know what? I think you're ready for something, and I think you're ready for a pageant. I went, no, 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 no. That's, yeah, complete denial. But I'd been watching specifically the galaxy system for that long. And there was just something about it. I think I actually became a galaxy girl before I realized what that was, because it was more of a feeling and a connection than anything else. And there was just so much connecting with the community and volunteer work more than any other system I've seen, at least in Australia. So working mostly with girls from the Galaxy system, I was completely in love and supported everything that they did. And I realized that my wedding was actually a month before the national finals last year. And the timeline of getting married, watching the 2024 Australian Galaxy finals in Australia, and then applying a couple of months later just seemed theoretically perfect. And it was a bit of a running joke. And I thought, yeah, I'll get married, I'll do a pageant, you know, whatever. It's not going to happen. And then I got married, and then I watched the finals, and I've never been so invested in watching Galaxy because it already had my heart. I was already there. And then I went, oh, I need to apply now. That's the next logical step. And it still didn't feel real, but that's what I did. And I started coaching straight away. So I've been prepping for 12 months, realizing that this is my first experience in pageantry. I wanted to completely immerse myself in this incredible community, in this amazing world. So that's exactly what I've done. It's been an absolute whirlwind. And to know that national finals are in less than 3 weeks, and I'm going to be in Sydney on the other side of the country, which I never go to, meeting all these amazing women, not just incredible delegates that are part of the 2025 cohort, but also women that I've watched from afar for the last 6 years that I've never met and I've followed. And I feel like I know them, but I still haven't met them in person. And there are so many women that have inspired me from a distance, and I've done my best to really connect with as many people as I can. But there are some people that I still haven't had the chance that I would like to really communicate that, and to meet people in person is just so powerful. Having live this talk now, it's so much more real because I can hear your voice, I can see you reacting immediately. It's very rewarding. Instant gratification is great, especially halfway across the world. But like I'm really excited that going to Sydney, I will be meeting Eleni, who is the current Mrs. Galaxy Australia, and she is absolutely incredible. She's the reason I wasn't just inspired, but I could actually envision myself standing there with my experiences, not just seeing someone there doing something inspiring, but knowing how unique her journey was, to becoming Mrs. Galaxy Australia. It really allowed me to envision that my experiences are just as valuable, even though they're different, and that's what she's been able to instill within me. So I'll be really excited to share that with her in person. And Mrs. Galaxy International, Caroline, all the way from Canada, she will be there, which is even more inspiring because I've been watching her journey before she won the international crown. And now I feel like I have a beautiful connection with Canada because Miss Galaxy Canada, Avery, was also one of the first connections I made, and she's done some amazing things working in schools, and we are very aligned with our passion for art and creativity being able to benefit mental health. So she is a beautiful platform going to schools, and educating children, and also sharing her journey of how she found school a little bit difficult or challenging, and to really pass on that story of not giving up. And I've had my own personal mental health journey, and there have been times when it doesn't matter how bright you are, it doesn't matter how many hobbies you are, it doesn't matter how many likes you get on a photo. If you're not feeling 100%, and depression and anxiety can really knock back any other feeling that you have, it has the ability to completely sweep the rug out from under your feet. And it doesn't matter how many things you've done in black and white, any achievements you've done, there are moments when all of that feels like it's invisible and it doesn't matter. And that's something that I still work hard every day to manage who I am and believe in myself and not give in to that. And it's something I don't believe anyone should ever have to experience or feel like they deserve to feel less than. So to be able to stand up on a stage, to go to community appearances, to be able to put myself out there and to have incredible conversations with people. It's so powerful. But I love being able to remind people that there are times when, even now, there are times I don't want to get out of bed, or I can't get out of bed, or the anxiety is just a little bit too much and you need to learn how to manage yourself. So, it doesn't matter how natural or how excited someone looks standing up on a stage or well presented. When you've got makeup and a nice jacket and a crown and a sash, life looks great. But I want to be the first one to remind people in a conversation that this is all put together, and this is just a decoration on the journey that I personally want to take. As a title holder, it would be amazing to stand up there to speak up for mental health and to be able to share the experiences that people might look at me or look at other people and go, oh, they can't have those experiences because X, Y, Z. And our brains try to fill in those blanks. But we're all human, we all experience different things. And yeah, anxiety and depression is still something I experience and I manage. And that's actually manifested into a partial diagnosis of OCD to manage my anxiety as well. So it's taken on an extra layer. And I've had a lot of conversations with people about undiagnosed ADHD as well. So there's some real incredible conversations with so many people, women in pageantry and outside, that have just led to some really driven conversations and meeting some really amazing women. And some I'm lucky enough to bring on my platform for her creative mindset and have a positive psychologist. I've got an author and some people that are really ready to share their stories and their tools. So yeah, this being able to sit all dressed up like this is really amazing and it's still surreal. But for me, all of this just reminds me of all the people that I've met and the people that have helped me on my journey, and to realize that my journey is valid. And now I can try and remind that for other people that need it, because you can never do enough, honestly.
Agreed. And from just your story, there's one thing that really stuck out is it can take one conversation at any time, but it can take years for it to really sink in. Obviously, you met a pageant girl 6 years ago, and even though you became friends and pageants wasn't something you were considering on getting on stage, it took 6 years from that initial conversation for it to
Yeah,
sink in and make that difference. And so I feel like that can be put in any situation with someone struggling. Maybe they don't want to hear it at that time, or it's not something that they're ready to acknowledge and have obviously listened to
yeah,
that advice. But 6 years down the line, that conversation you had will just randomly pop in their head, and they'll go, actually, you know what, I remember this one time I spoke to someone and they said something really impactful. I didn't think about it back then. I wasn't in a mindset
mm,
really comprehend what they were trying to say to me, but now I get it, and it's going to help me change the ways how I am and the difference it will make in my life. And it's those little conversations it's why we need to have them every single day, because it may not help,
100%.
but the results we may see in 5, 6, even longer will make such a difference to so many people. It's something that I'm starting to realize, very much like yourself. I've had quite the mental health journey. Many people won't know that I competed in UK Galaxy last March. 3 weeks later, I was being signed off work. I couldn't go to work. I wasn't allowed to drive because I was at risk of doing something very silly if I was driving by myself. And I ended up locking myself away. But on social media, I had the makeup on, I had the hair done, I was the perfect pageant girl. But behind the scenes, I was maybe in my bed not moving because I couldn't cope every single day. It took a few months. I was able to get myself out, and I ended up competing in November in Royal. And if you look at my stage photos, you wouldn't think that in the back of my head I'm thinking every single worst thing about myself. Of, I shouldn't have been doing this year. I'm not ready. It's only been a few months since I had like the ultimate low, to now suddenly put myself back out there for everyone to see, everyone to judge while I'm still judging myself. It's it's a strong message that social media can send, is I may look,
Mm,
but underneath all all of that makeup is a completely different person, but it's the conversations I had during that time that's helped me be able to continue on and become better.
Mm. Oh,
So,
that's so powerful. It was so many things that you just said I related to, even down to not being able to drive. I'm sure there are times in my life where I felt like behind a wheel was not the safest place for me when my headspace was not healthy. But because I didn't actually seek any professional help or speak to anyone about it, there wasn't anyone that was actually able to intervene, which is why it's so important to have conversations. They don't, it's helpful if it can be with a professional, but just hitting the nail on the head, what you said before with conversations, they are so powerful because you never know what's going to happen. You might not know, you never know what you might spark in someone else. But something I think I've only recently realized, like in the last 12 months, is exactly how much impact something can have even years after. So just like you were highlighting with, yeah, my first pageant client going, oh yeah, cool, pageants are nice. This is really fun, amazing. That's really great. But it was, yeah, 6 years of watching women do different things, achieve different things, going, oh, well, that's okay because that's them and this is me and I'm different, and identifying as someone different. And maybe that was my mind trying to protect me from, risk and disappointment and so many different things. And I just couldn't envision myself doing something else that they were doing. But as my life took shape and as I saw different experiences and continued to push myself out of my comfort zone, doing little 1% experiences and just practicing that to the point where entering Galaxy didn't seem like this big, scary, oh my goodness, I can't do this. This is going to be so scary. To, well, I just have to apply.
yeah,
And then I just have to do this. And then I just have to keep taking one step in front of the other. But in saying that, it's also been like the scariest thing, but the most exciting thing as well. Um, but I would like to share more of the real side of things because people, like you said, yeah, if people don't have any idea what's happening in your mind, you could be perfectly on stage. And I think that's probably been my biggest challenge with pageantry is that I see so many people share all these beautiful photos and they still can have touching captions, they still can have a story, but if you're still visually putting out that consistency, there's so many unconscious messages that people are taking from that. And that's why I even try to plan out my content and balance it. I made a promise to myself that with Galaxy, I said I didn't want Galaxy or pretty perfect photos to take up any more than 40% of my feed to do with my pageant journey, because there's so much I still share about mental health and a little bit about my day-to-day life, about how much exercise helps me to manage my depression, anxiety, and still sharing that content that I would want to share. But I I actually went through a phase where if I had a panic attack or if I had a moment where I felt incredibly vulnerable, I would actually record just a snippet of it. And I made a couple of videos online where I would jump between looking all pristine and looking presentable and kind of going before and after. And I still feel like it's really hard for people to accept that. I think for some people it can be quite hard and quite jarring. And for anyone who's, I guess, experienced, or for me through depression, anxiety, I've one of my coping mechanisms can be a bit of a dark sense of humor, so I will be the first one to joke about it. I've got quite a
right.
few friends, and quite a few friends were like, "Well, we don't want to know your favorite color. Like, what was your childhood trauma? Let's bond over that."
Let's do
And
much more fun.
yeah, like, yeah, and I can't do small talk, but I also find it's really hard to find a space where the world is ready to see something that is confronting. Another a quote of mine that I've always liked is, art comforts the disturbed and disturbs the comfortable. And there are so many things that I've seen that I go, oh my God, that's messed up, but that makes me feel a little bit less
Yeah,
screwed up in the head and I'm a bit more okay. Whereas I might show someone else and they go, oh my God, that is so strange. I can't look at that. And I just feel so
yeah,
desensitized. But trying to find, I think I've been struggling to find that balance, wanting to share my story, wanting to share that vulnerability and the strength within that vulnerability, but in a way that people want to absorb it. And being a visual person, being a photographer, I can share photos and I can share videos and I can open up and I can allow myself to be vulnerable. But sometimes you need that more for your own healing journey than something that's actually going to benefit the community and someone watching. And that's why I did a mental health workshop last year in September. Batia is a youth mental health organization that is connected to Galaxy. So I'm really proud to have already raised over $1,500 for the organization because they do such an incredible job. And I actually did one of their mental health workshops last year, which was about how to safely share your story, how to not mention numbers or to mention certain elements of your story that might be damaging or might influence people. I'm so comfortable to share my story, but to do it in the right way that's going to make the right impact rather than just, you know, word vomit and trying to. I'm like, I do not want to pretend that the world is my therapy chair because I do have a psychologist and it's not everything is healthy to share. And some things you need to share to help yourself, but they're not always going to be what other people need to hear. So, focusing on doing that workshop with Batia, but also doing Galaxy has really taught me how to navigate and find a pocket where I don't have to be completely vulnerable. It might not be healthy to allow myself to be completely vulnerable, but to find a pocket in the world and in social media and in myself where I can be most effective with how I can share that message and share my story. And to be quite honest, I'm still working on it, but like most things, it's always a journey. So I was able to share my mental health story for the first time at a mental health and wellness workshop that I hosted last month. And it was, yeah, interesting being able to navigate that and not going to my comfort zone or completely opening up and being vulnerable, but still wanting to maintain a presence and to come from a place of peace as opposed to maybe frustration for still being in that space, to have a safe space to share that and from a good place takes a lot of healing and takes a lot of work. But through that, I think through Galaxy and through those workshops I've been hosting over the last couple of months and the people that I've met, it's been a really good way to navigate finding that pocket
Yeah.
because it is such a hard balance to find. And mental health and mindset is something I so strongly want to advocate for. But I'm still finding all the exact tools that I want. But from where I am now compared to 12 months ago, 12 months ago, I just had a passion for talking about mindset and mental health and having a platform. And now I have an international platform running a wellness workshop with guest speakers and breathwork facilitators and people from all over the world. And a year ago, I would have just thought that was a dream. That wasn't possible. And thanks to Galaxy, it really has taken off, and it's not just a word on paper or a logo that I got done. It's become a movement and an influence and a way to connect with people, and it's definitely landing. So it's just fueled my fire even more because I still don't know exactly how to do it every single time, but every workshop's different. All the collective attendees are different coming into the workshop. And it's also a journey that, as much as I'm hosting a workshop and hosting her creative mindset regularly, I'm still on my own journey. And I think that's the most important thing to convey. I'm not, hi, I'm fixed. I'm hosting this. Let's all fix you. It's like, hey, we're all a little bit broken, but I've learned how to manage it and I break down a little bit less and I know what works for me and it's not always perfect. But I want to create a space where all of us can still go on that journey together. So to have a space locally, in person, and online has been such an empowering experience, and I just can't wait to make it bigger and more and make more connections because it's
And
so important.
for me, that's very exciting to hear. And just touching on like that sharing your story. It's why I've never really shared my story. I've been dealing with depression for 15 years now. I was 13 when I was officially diagnosed, which is very, very young back 15 years ago.
Ah,
It's more
wow.
now for younger people to be diagnosed, but 15 years ago, if you said that a 13-year-old has depression, we were just told it's just a phase, it's just, kids being kids. But for me to get a professional diagnosis, there's like, no, she's
Mm.
really not. Like, great, thanks. If
Yeah.
they're just kids, and I'm like, yeah, no, you're really broken.
Yeah.
We're gonna like put you on medication to help you. And I was like, I maybe didn't want to hear that at 13, but it also a bit
Wow.
relieving to know that it
Yeah, how did it feel to be diagnosed at 13? Because I've had, I know, not in hindsight, I know I had depression ever since from the age of 15, but I wasn't diagnosed or saw a psychologist until I was 25, and I'm just about to be 31. So I spent so long in trial and error land, and the last 6 years have been good. I've been actually able to work on that. But at 13, it sounds like there were mixed feelings, good and bad, but to
yeah,
actually have a diagnosis
it
at
was
that age.
it was a bit like I said, it was a good and bad. Like, I had the good aspects that someone took what I was feeling seriously and that they wanted to help manage so I could go back to school because I couldn't handle school. I wasn't doing okay at home. I wouldn't leave the house. Trying to get me just on the school bus was like an hour and a half screaming match, and I was usually late. I would leave school. I would fake being sick. It was nice to have an answer to what I was feeling, and it wasn't a normal 13-year-old. Obviously, most people,
Mm,
yeah, they're trying to pull Skyvy. They're like, they don't want to be at school just because they're bored of it. No, no, yours is a bit more serious than that. So it was nice to have that answer. But then the
mm,
bad side of it, because it was such a taboo for young people to be diagnosed with something so serious, that when I went
mm,
through counselling or therapy, I wasn't being taken serious by a lot of counsellors, and it put such
mm,
a negative spin that I've actually not seen a counsellor or a therapist since, because they've left such a traumatic experience on me at such a young age. So I almost wish I wasn't diagnosed early, so that when the next time I went through this, it would be a bit more positive because they're a bit more receptive to my diagnosis rather than them being part of it. You're 13, like, get over it.
mm,
Like, what's
mm.
life? And I never forget one therapist said, "You're literally a child. You've got nothing to worry about other than school. Like, what are you playing at?" And I was just like, okay, I'm done. And I walked out of that session. I
Oh.
never been back to a therapist since, because I can't trust them, which is such a shame because I know so many
Mm,
who have had amazing therapists and it's done wonders for them, but they were actually making it worse. They were making me an angrier
mm,
child. I was getting outbursts of wanting to hurt people because I was so angry at the world. It was doing me more harm
mm,
than good. So I was like, I'm done. And I stayed on my medication for quite a while. I ended up moving schools, ended up moving locations just to try and give me a fresh start. Nothing ever really got better until I went to college at, I've got to do the maths now, I was 15, because I went to college a year earlier than I was meant to.
mm.
So I went,
Okay.
I went
Did
at
that
15.
did that help?
It helped immensely. I found finally a really good group of friends because I grew up isolated with no friends. So I found a really good group of friends. I actually met my husband and in college. We had a lovely friendship for a couple of years, and
Super.
started finding what I like. So I love like trading card games. I became a very good Magic the Gathering female player in the UK. I travelled up and down the country, and then I found pageants. Much like you, it takes one pageant and they just
Yeah.
kind of sink their claws in, like, come with us, run
Yeah.
us, see this beautiful world. It's very dangerous, but also the work that we can do as pageant girls and the difference we can make is something. I'm glad that we're dangerous, that we'll do that to people. Like, yeah, no, you're going to become and join our pageant cult, but we're
Yeah.
going to make a big difference in the world. We're going to share all these incredible stories, all these incredible journeys, and we're going to help one person at a time. I was like, sold. But I never actually told that part, my mental health journey, and for the same reason as you mentioned, what's too much, what's going to be more damage than good. And I always go back
Mm,
to that counsellor who said the wrong thing to the wrong person and did more damage than he did good. And now I'm like, I don't want to be that person to someone else. I want to
mm,
be someone who helps and elevates them and educates them on the importance. For me, self-care has been for my mental health. I see quite a correlation of my mental health's low, my self-care's low. I start looking after myself, my mental health goes up. So it's
Mm.
that balancing act and trying to share that story so that people can find their own correlation. For me, it was my self-care. For someone else, it might be something completely different. So the fact there is a workshop in Australia, if it's recorded, feel free to send it to me so I could learn this trick, so I could share my story a lot more effectively.
Yes, I'll add you to the wait list. We have a YouTube channel.
Beautiful, love this.
Yeah. No, all the online workshops. I think we've had three now. Yeah, February, March, and April. They've all been recorded and they're all privately listed on YouTube, just for people that register their interest, just so it's not all everywhere. But it's all free of charge, and they're about an hour to an hour and a half. But they've
I'll
been
give you my details.
incredible. Yeah, yeah, awesome. Yeah, and the in-person workshop ones have been a bit more of an invested experience because we've been able to get more people physically on board, but it's also that community of bringing like-minded people in the same room, even though virtually it's incredibly powerful. The workshops have a little bit more in them, but I'm still waiting to get the videography and the audio back from the three guest speakers I had at the in-person workshop, so I can still put them up. So I really want to still prioritize an online presence and to be able to share all that gold. And it was a weird experience being my own guest speaker, sharing my mental health story at my wellness event. But it doesn't feel like mine. I created this event and this space, and once I shared my mental health story, I was able to stand back and listen to Tash talk about how she became a personal development author, and now she's experiencing that, taking those lessons into being a new mum. And one of my friends who's a client turned friend, which is very common for me in my line of work, who's a positive psychologist, and even sharing things that we didn't know about each other, even though we've worked together for a number of years. It's just there's too much gold to gatekeep. There's just so many conversations that happen, and again, bringing it back to it. It doesn't have to be what you need to hear in that moment.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, like pageantry was like, yeah, 6 years from, oh, what is pageantry? Oh, that's nice. You look really pretty and your makeup's done up nice. That's awesome. To, oh my goodness, these women are connecting worldwide. They're traveling worldwide. They're standing up for incredible things, and they're just being completely limitless, which is something I've never been able to allow myself to do. And it wasn't until I ran out of things, especially planning a wedding. I mean, I spent 18 months planning mine because I wanted to be sane for part of it. So, yeah, so
I did.
after a wedding, I needed something.
No, I did the opposite. We did about 18 months of planning as well, but as it was getting like close to the end, I went to Galaxy. The So I got married in the October. Galaxy was in the March, and I went to watch just have a girls' weekend, and I was like, I haven't staged in so long. I'm getting itchy feet. I want to go back. And then I had to message the husband to be. I was like, you know how much you love me. You know what you said is
I've had that
the wedding done,
conversation.
I can go back on stage. How about I put my application in now? Yeah. And I just got like the most exasperated like response of, I
Our
don't
husbands sound
know.
very similar.
He's like, I knew this was going to happen. He said, I'll have one condition. Can it's the concentration be wedding? So if there is a pageant event or a wedding thing, we do wedding. But if there's nothing on, we'll do pageant. You can do pageant. I was like, deal. Application.
That's
Got my
very
sack.
well planned on his part. Wow.
At this point, 9 years, he's just gone, yeah, okay, have fun. Just do you. Make you happy. If it keeps that smile on your face, do what you want, but let me have this little bit of wedding stuff. I said, that's fine. That was the
Yeah,
plan. Just wanted to start getting things sorted, so I'm not like rushing for 5 months.
exactly. You're
Yeah,
organized.
exactly. We can start planning, getting a bit of appearance done, get a few outfits here and there, as long as it doesn't come out the wedding budget. And
Yeah.
then the October happened, and we never planned to go on a honeymoon because we were planning to move home. So
Mm.
weddings happened. We spent a few extra days up in Scotland with some friends, a bit of us time, and then we kind of looked at each other. week. We've got it off work. And then he kind of he said, I kind of want to catch up with some friends because he's got a lot of online friends. They play games together. And I said, yeah,
Mm.
I really fancy catching up with some friends. I'm texting my best friend Ruth, like, Ruth, you still got that spare Miss Great Britain ticket for me? And then we came back on the Tuesday and he's like, yeah, let's do that. We'll do our own thing. Yeah, I said, excellent. We've just had a lot of time together. We need a bit of separation to get back to our normal selves before we go back to work.
Mm.
And then he's like, yeah, sounds good. And I said, oh, by the way, I'm going away for the weekend with Ruth. Bye. So I got home from my wedding on the Tuesday. I left for Leicester on the Thursday to go and watch Miss Great Britain for the weekend. I was like, bye, love you. It was
Oh,
great wedding. We had exactly a week after I got married, I was in pageant land again. I was like, yeah, that's my life.
oh, that's awesome. I feel like my husband would be grateful that had a little bit more of a separation time because I went, no, 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 we'll get married, I'll watch finals, and then I'll get stuck into pageantry. So although I did try to do a few other things, I had I still compete with well, I had my last dance competition last September, so I put those on hold since doing pageantry because I've been doing dancing since I was yay high in a few different styles. So I nearly did a competition, I think 2 weeks before our wedding, and he went, "You're planning on doing pageantry after? Maybe not do the competition a couple weeks before. Just maybe let's just focus on the wedding. I know it's hard. I know you're ambitious." But he's like, maybe just go to a couple of classes. And I'm like, okay, I know you're right. So, and while I remember as well, when I was talking about, sorry to interrupt, we're going backwards now. But Desi, who is my client and beautiful friend, who is an incredible positive psychologist practitioner, who's part of her creative mindset. She's actually, I don't know if she's still watching, but she was watching at the time. So there's a little comment going, "That's me," and that's Desi. So she's got Mindform, an incredible platform that's just about to come out, all about positive psychology
And
that we're
go get a little
working
support.
together. So yeah, no,
I,
she's
I love seeing
amazing.
everyone else's platforms because it's just so inspiring. It's like, wow, I never thought that's something people need to think of. And then more and more platforms, I was like, okay, my eyes, I thought I knew a lot and I've dealt with a lot, but this is just getting crazy of how much we can help people. So I'll have to
Yeah.
go give her a little stalk, especially if she's a
Yeah.
psychologist. Might pick up a few tips for me to help myself because
Yeah.
I'm an ambitious person. I can't do things in halves. So at one point, I was planning a move, doing my caring duties from being at home, planning a wedding, and doing pageants. I was like, "Yep, let's do all four major life changes in one go," and somehow be shocked that I then end up like not being okay at the end. I said, "Yeah, I may have burnt myself out a little bit, but it's fine. We'll
Yeah.
get over it. Take that step, reevaluate.
Yeah. Oh,
Let's do some planning."
burnout's so real.
Oh,
And it's such a balance. I think I definitely experienced the worst part of burnout probably in my early 20s because it was just all go go go. Um, and also because being I feel like we've got quite a few things in common, but I've always got something on the go, and it's balance. Because if I've got enough on my plate, it actually causes me anxiety that I'm not doing enough or I haven't got enough happening. And if I'm not planning to do nothing and I do nothing, it actually is a trigger for me.
yeah.
So I need to have a list of things. I need to have, this is today's task, this is this week's task, and these are your 5 backup things in case you finish that to-do list that you know you won't finish, but you just need the backup.
Yeah. No, I completely understand that. If I'm going to do nothing, it has to be a planned do nothing.
A planned nothing, yeah.
I'm going out of my mind. And it was really funny. I saw there was this Facebook meme that was like, oh, do you want to go out tonight? Oh no, thanks. I've got plans, but you're not doing anything. Yeah, that's my plans, doing nothing. That is a
Yeah.
fixed plan for me
Yeah.
because if I don't plan it, it'll happen. And I realized when I started like planning to do all these things at the same time, I was like, hold on, why am I burnt out? I remember when back in 2021, I could do that without blinking and I wouldn't get tired. I was a title holder back then. We had just had COVID. I'd been competing in Miss Atlantic here in the UK and I'd won. And then I had my year reign where I did 22 pageant appearances in a year. And I was like, I was fine at the end of it. I got engaged in the middle of my reign, and then I started wedding planning. I was like, I was fine. I wasn't burnt out. But lately, I'm feeling like I'm getting more and more burnt out, quicker and quicker. I was like, I'm getting old, and I'm
Yeah.
only 28. Right, this really helps. This is what getting old gets like. Like at 28, you feel like you can't do more than two projects at a time, and you're crashing out.
Yeah. And I feel like I really want to highlight that because something like age has restricted me in so many ways, not because of what other people have said, but because of my projection on what other people will think. And I still like saying, you're 28 and I'm old, is this burnout? I'm like, I could have a conversation with someone and they're like, oh, but you're only, again, it's that disqualification of, oh, but oh, no, you're not old, you're
Yeah,
young. And it's the like being diagnosed at 13, oh, but you're just a kid. I'm like, everyone's feelings are valid. If you're 28 and you feel burnt out and you're feeling old compared to 22, that's 100% valid. And I've learned to tell myself that if someone has an issue with that, or they go, oh, but you're so young. Yeah, compared to you, if you're 35 or 40, you're playing the comparison game. If someone is finding that hard to swallow, or they're kind of resisting that, I'm like, that's their own projection. And that took a long time for me to say that, to realize that in my mind, because when I was like 20, 21, 22, I went, I'm too young, people won't take me seriously. So I always played it safe and never did crazy big things. I always was in my little safe zone because I thought people won't take me seriously. And that wasn't necessarily fact. It was, I don't think someone else is going to take me at this age seriously, and that restricted me. And then I got to 28 and 29 and saw all these 22-year-olds doing amazing things and went, oh my God, I've missed the boat. I'm just going to just settle and play it safe. And then I realized I'm doing the same thing I was doing 5 years ago. I'm like, screw this. Like, there are limitations I put on myself. But it frustrates me so much when people disqualify statements that you're saying, or even as like I experienced as a teenager as well, the one or two times I tried to speak up going, I don't feel great, or I feel like this, or I don't want to go to school today, but like, I'll get over it.
yeah,
Just and it's a generational thing as well sometimes, but the whole get on with it, like, you don't want to be ungrateful. I do, I had a good life, good upbringing, loving parents, and I thought, if like, there can't be anything wrong with me because I've ticked all the right boxes. And then to have, like, hearing your experience, hearing a professional say, oh, like, you're fine, like, there's nothing actually wrong with you, is just so, like, that will sit with me because that's so frustrating. But it also just proves, I mean, the silver linings out of everything, which I try and teach myself to see, because otherwise life just gets way too depressing. And we don't need any additional
no, no,
layers of that.
don't need life
um,
well.
yeah. But I'm just like, I've already got like diagnosed depression. I don't just need normal
Yeah,
depression feelings that are like the shallow end of it. I don't need the extra layer. I don't need sprinkles. I'm good. But at the end of the day, it just makes me realize people are still human. Yes, you're qualified. Yes, you're a psychologist. You're a counselor. You shouldn't be projecting those feelings or those opinions if you're a professional. And you're still human. People will still come into it. Every profession, every different area you go, people have their own set of beliefs and attitudes, and you can't change that. If that's how they are, that's kind of how they are. And that's why so many psychologists are so personal. I mean, even photographers, like, the photography market is so saturated, and for a long time I didn't think I went, yeah, I'm not a good enough photographer because I can't compete with that. And then it wasn't until I started looking at the things I thought were normal, that were just normal to me, and people went, oh my God, that's really cool. I went, but this is boring because I do this every day. Oh no, but like, I like the way you do this, and this is slightly different to this person. So being unique and you being you is your superpower. But also, that statement does not give you any tangible way on how to actually use that statement. They go, oh, being unique is your superpower. And people have said that in pageantry as well. But I'm like, but what does that mean? I'm like, that's really great to have on a poster on a wall somewhere, but I'm like, but what does that mean? I'm like, it means that what you grew up with isn't necessarily normal for everyone. It's normal for you, but you don't see it because it's already there. So you need to actually train yourself to be able to see these different things, to know that they're actually valuable. And I think that that's a big life lesson for me. It's like learning that your experiences are valid. What you have experienced is unique. No two people are the same. You have something to give. Find out how you can view your own story from an outside perspective so you can see what you actually want to share to be able to make a difference. And it's because of people like Eleni that I was able to kind of see that change and progress in her. That was, I think that was my aha moment. But between my friend going, yes, you're engaged, do Mrs. Galaxy, you've aged out of Miss, but you can do Mrs. And I went, oh, okay. I was like, oh, I like the idea of that. New name, new year, let's do something exciting. But yeah, after years of watching pageantry and then having someone say, this is the right pocket in time. But yeah, having people like Eleni be up on stage and actually not just be inspiring, but to make you see yourself in a different way, to realize that you have something valuable to share. And then it's about learning to find that voice. And that's exactly why I'm putting myself out of my comfort zone and emceeing events, which I've never done, and doing all these different things and doing interviews and podcasts, which has been incredible because it's not just conversations that are powerful, but words are powerful. And the words we say out loud have impact, whether that's about ourselves or about others. And that's why I like to have my online workshops, why I've been loving having these interviews, because we get complacent. We try and find a comfort zone. Our body likes to make us feel safe, but all the exciting things happen outside of your comfort zone. So once you get used to exercising that muscle, it's a great balance. But you need to keep putting yourself out there. You need to have those habits so you don't settle into complacency. And every time I have these incredible conversations with people, it's not just the conversations as they're happening. I'll go to bed and I'll have an idea. I'll wake up the next day and kind of, I might be frustrated at something. And then I'll think back to the conversation I had going, well, actually, this was the silver lining we talked about. Like, the more you talk about positivity, it's really hard to be a horrible person when you're really positive. You
Yeah.
can't, you're training your brain to see something a certain way. And I really like being a positive person. It doesn't mean you're positive all the time,
No.
but something can go wrong and you're like, oh, well, I'll just sort this out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there were moments like 10 years ago when things like that would be completely debilitating for me because it was the last straw and, everything kind of crumbled. But to have enough confidence and knowing who you are to know how you can manage something and go, it's not worth me it's not worth me giving away half my day to this emotional energy that is negative, because that's just going to instill that in my mind. I'm going to project that onto other people. I'm like, I might not be positive all the time, but if I can have conversations semi regularly where people are going below the surface, being real, being authentic, I can have an amazing workshop one day and then 2 days later feel completely flat. And that's just the way things go. And sometimes you can't control what your body's doing. Sometimes you get clues that you might not be 100%. But, there are days when I can have something amazing happen. And then 2 days later, I feel completely horrible and there's no correlation. But ever since I've been doing my workshops and I've been working a lot closely with my clients who are very well aligned with the workshops I'm actually doing now. Like, a lot of my clients have been psychologists and counselors and authors in the last 12 months as a photographer. That when I started doing wellness workshops and wanting guest speakers, I literally had all these clients of mine going, we love what you do already. This is just an extension of what you've kind of been doing unofficially on the side. So we're with you. But just having all of that around, if there are moments when I'm flat, I'll have a day where I'm just not feeling great. I don't have any positivity to give. My cup is empty. And I go, well, at least I can protect myself. I'm not a positive person today. I'm just going to keep to myself. it's on those days that I will have a message from someone going, hey, I listened to your workshop today, like it absolutely made my day. Or I wasn't sure how to manage this, but I thought about this post that you put up last week and it made a difference. And I might, for some reason, my brain just tries to really interfere with my negative thoughts now. And I think that's hopefully how I've trained my brain over time, which has taken a lot of effort. But if I have days where I really just want to feel down, I used to be able to push that as hard as I could. And now my body will go, no, you've got a positive message from someone. No, you've just had a client book in. No, you've just had this. And it will not let me sink to the level that I used to be able to sink to because I'm surrounded by all this positivity. But it's because you get what you receive what you put out, and you never know when you're going to need that. Yeah, you could be something you hear in a workshop or something a stranger says, and you doesn't matter at all. And 2 years later, you're putting on a shirt and you're going, oh, I don't like this shirt. This doesn't look great. I don't feel 100%. But then you look in the mirror and go, there was a compliment a stranger gave me 2 years ago on that shirt. You know what? I'm going to wear
Yeah.
that. So conversations have power, words have power, and it's not even in the present time. And it works positively and negatively. Unfortunately, it works both ways.
Yeah.
But if you can use the positive and know that, yeah, those words not only have power, but they have momentum to keep that going, I feel it's just the best way forward and to keep having conversations like this because you never know what's going to happen. You never know who you're going to meet. You know, as long as you don't burn any bridges, you look after yourself, be a respectable person, have morals and good attitudes. Um, can't really go too wrong. But so, touch wood, it's helped me so far. So far so good. But it's just so much possibility.
Absolutely. I feel like this is like the perfect way to come to an end of the incredible message that you've given us is, and just to highlight some of those key ones, if anyone decides they just want to go right to the end and get to the little juicy key points, is one, conversations are the most powerful in both positive and negative. And as you said, it's not always the conversation you have in the present, it's the conversation that you remember sometime in the future from the
Mm,
past that makes differences. So always to remember that when you're speaking to someone, have that positive interaction. And I spoke with this with Nilu yesterday. One positive interaction every single day. 10 years time, how many of those interactions have made a change within those 10 years, even if you didn't see it immediately? And you may never ever see the results, but there'll be someone out there in the world that will remember that conversation and will help them 5-10 years in the time. And also the second thing I feel like has been quite key is you know your body better than anyone. Having those self-care moments when you know you're feeling low, and that's okay. You have to find those little positive moments. Or for me, I do let myself dwell, but I give myself one day.
yeah,
If I've missed a
love
couple of
that.
my red down, I say, right, if you're feeling this bad, you get 24 hours and then you're back up. And at work, I have 24 hours to feel those emotions, and then they just get let go, because you
Yeah.
sometimes feel those negatives. We go, you know what? They don't affect me as what they used to. They're just sat there stewing.
Mm,
But as soon as I embrace them and let them go, they're gone. And then I feel like I'm much better and I feel more refreshed. Even if I sleep for 2 hours, I feel so refreshed that next day. But that
yeah.
self care of your body, your mind is the most key thing going forward. And I feel like they're the two very strong messages we've had.
Yeah.
Also, pageant
Yeah.
girls are a cult. We will get our claws into you and somehow make you pageant, and then you'll never ever leave. 10 years still competing no matter what age you are, and that is completely okay. If you want to try something new at 18, 25, or 31, do it, because
Yeah.
what's the worst that's going to happen? You're going to do it, not like it, and never do it again, or you're going to find something you absolutely love and make that difference for maybe yourself or for someone else. And that's what we should be here doing.
Yeah. 100%. Like it's just such a better place being surrounded by everyone who just having that freedom, whether that's limitations you put on yourself or from other people. because they're two very different challenges to manage as well. It's there's yeah, it's so much about mindset and perception and how you see the world. And the world shapes us a lot. But I think there's a point where we can really take back that control and believe in ourselves and decide what we want to do and write our own adventure.
Yeah,
But you've managed. There were so many things that we covered, but those two points that you've really strongly highlighted are something so prominent in so many of the workshops I've done and things I've spoken to. They're such strong themes. And it's something so important to highlight. So you did that very well. Thank you.
thank
Appreciate
you.
that.
Thank you for coming on and being my second international. And I said at the beginning, I don't know if you missed, you were actually the first international guest that reached out to me. So to have you as on my little my Instagram live series, you can tell it's starting to get to an hour. My words are starting to mash up. 5 minute, hour long ones are not my forte.
Yeah.
But it's been an absolute pleasure having you on, and I wish you the very best of luck for May 3rd. I know you'll be leaving in a couple of weeks because you've got a long weekend. I'm very jealous. 4 days of pageant land. I'll take
Yes.
it any time.
Yeah.
But
No. A lot of time off. We've got a couple of holidays coming up. We've got Easter and then there's Anzac Day as well. So we've actually got a 4-day week followed by a 3-day week and a 3-day weekend, and then we fly over. But I just gave myself a 3-day weekend because just celebrated our first wedding anniversary on the weekend. So I took that Monday off. But no, very, very excited to be in a land that I've watched for 6 years, and I don't travel very much, so to travel on the other side, that it's actually cheaper to fly to Bali from here than to fly to the other side of our country, which is absolutely crazy. But to meet Nilu as well, because we've had some really beautiful chats about mental health. She's absolutely incredible, and having her twins and talking about postnatal depression. There's just, like you said, there's so many. Everyone's unique. Everyone's got their own story, and you just need to change someone's experience or flavor of what they talk about 1%, and it reaches out to so many people. So to
completely.
just be in a room full of those people that are there for incredible reasons, and to know that we all can take up space. It's not who's got the better story, who's going to make you cry the most telling their story. It's nothing like that. Everyone has their own story, and everyone is worthy of being in a place where they can stand up and take up space. And it's, just to be able to see any kind of pageantry from the outskirts is incredible. But to be involved in it finally, which I know was a lot of the
Well,
girls will be like, I saw this coming a long
yeah,
time, it was gonna happen. I'm like, really? And they're like,
yeah.
yep, I
Don't
was there with
worry.
you, it was just waiting.
We've had it
But
in
no.
the UK. A lot of the pageant mums are now going on stage because they've been watching their daughters for so long. The daughters are like, maybe I don't want to compete anymore. The mum's like, well, why don't we do it together? And they're like, that's all I wanted.
Yeah.
Come on, let's go.
No, oh,
Same
that's
day,
awesome.
like the daughters planned that completely because we know those mums. We've been watching and wanting those mums on stage for years, and now they're finally doing it. We're like, yay! We just
Yeah.
had UK finals last week for us, the Pritchards, both Erin and Effa. Effa was a last
Oh,
year's Junior Miss Galaxy International who handed over, and everyone's been on her mum for years. You need to get on that stage, Gemma. You've got a story. You've got incredible
I love
personality.
that.
Get on stage, and she finally did this year, and everyone just cheered. She came second runner-up from the top of my head, I
Wow.
think. Yes, I think it was
That's
second,
amazing.
and we were all ecstatic. I think a lot of us were so ecstatic. We are like, it's like she won just for doing
Yeah.
that first pageant. Like, you won. We don't care. You just did so incredible. We're just happy you're on that stage.
Yeah.
Congratulations. And
No,
that's
that's
more and
amazing.
more of seeing women of all ages stepping
Yeah.
outside their comfort zone. And a lot of them getting on a pageant stage because they've been dragged in by every pageant mum and pageant daughter to go in.
Everyone. Yeah, no, I know the closest my mum is coming to Sydney is I bought her a beautiful Australia Galaxy shirt to match mine. So when she watches the finals, she was, they did Shakai, our national director, did a really good job of doing merchandise this year, and I was completely committed. So, my mum has been a dance mum for a long time, so I think she's definitely done her years. But she will proudly be wearing the Australia Galaxy shirt while I'm in Sydney, which makes me really excited. So
Keep her away.
that's amazing.
You never know. I know they can be convincing.
Yeah,
How many
100%. It's
higher, but
amazing.
don't let us is the question.
Yeah. Love that.
Thank you so much again. I wish you safe flights to Sydney and a huge good luck. I will be rooting.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I will stay away time difference
Yes.
quite extensive in a job by then, hopefully. So I'm like, yeah, I might need to sleep. Otherwise, I'm doing 38 hours awake, and I don't think I can do that.
Yeah, no, that's a lot. Even I stay up way past what I should, and I've been on minimal sleep lately, but that is,
That's
yeah,
what
no, that's not
you,
healthy.
that's standard. A month before a pageant, you get maybe 3 hours a night because you're too busy stressing and practicing and studying and developing. You're just like, I need everything to be perfect. You then don't sleep for pageant weekend, and then you sleep for a week. That's
Yeah,
standard life, right? That's
yeah.
the step
You
by.
can. I'll ask you some nap tips so I can manage through pageant week.
There is some beautiful photos of me in full hair and makeup, like head back on a sofa bed, just making sure it was all perfect, fully passed out of sleep. So I can give you all the nap tips. I've learnt every key one from 20 minutes to 2 hours to what's meant to be a nap is now 8 hours long, but that's
Yeah,
fine. That's a nap.
it counts.
It's a
No,
nap, so 8 hours of nap.
yeah, nah, that sounds awesome. I'll need all the tips.
Amazing. Well, have a good rest of your evening. It's very late for you, and I will most likely speak to you soon.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sherry. This has been amazing, and you're absolutely incredible. It's
Thank
been so good to
you so
be able to finally speak with you. So thank you.
I know we've been talking a lot on DMs, but much more fun face to face.
Yes, yeah. And I can't wait to see all the lives you've got to do because, yeah, so many women, all these women are absolutely incredible. So, and they all have their own stories. So you've got a great platform.
Thank you so much. Speak to you soon. Bye.